Hello, my name is Jerry. I just want to do an introduction video, show you some pictures, and tell you my story. Today is October 5th, 2022, and it is a very beautiful fall day here in a small town of Bellevue, Nebraska. Bellevue is about 50,000 in population, not too far from the metro area of Omaha, which is much larger. We're only a couple of blocks down from Fontenelle Forest. Fontenelle Forest is where my wife Mary and I got married 20 years ago, this July 6th. So, I'd like to get started by just going through some pictures and showing them to you. I have everything on DVD also, but in a very different order. And I brought out these to kind of show chronology of just myself and my close relatives in terms of where I came from. And so I'll get started here. Um, this picture is the Crown Point, Indiana courthouse. This is where my father Sidney and mother Pearl were married in August of 1954. Now, my mother tells me, told me that my dad had, when they were married, there brought her over to a some kind of jail that was historically very important back in the day. There was a guy named John Dillinger who was rampaging in the 30s, and he had escaped from Crown Point. And my dad had showed my mother the gun that they had kept there. It was some kind of fake gun, and told her the story of their life in Gary back during that time, and the fear that John Dillinger brought to everybody. It was a very different time, the 30s and 40s, before my era for sure. I don't have a great deal of old pictures. We had two house fires, one in 1967 and then another one in 1970. So we did lose most of our possessions. So these pictures are from other cousins and people that I've come to know over the years who have provided them to me. This picture is taken, this was in Gary, Indiana, behind our house on 738 Delaware. Uh, Terry and Butch Slominski are shown on the back steps of her home. Cousin is in the middle. Shelby was her name. They had come to visit us. And I believe this was either 1957 or 1958. Right in that era, this is a picture of my father, Sidney, and it was the first birthday for his first son, Butch, or Sidney Jr. Sidney Sr.'s sister is Wanda on the top, and her husband is John Sawa. And Jackie and Donna were the children at the bottom. And this was taken in our house. It would have to be the first birthday, uh, July 28th of 1956. Right about that time frame, the steel mills in Gary, Indiana, were the the largest industry, and everybody, according to census records, it seemed at one time or another had worked at the Gary Mills. In 1960, February 5th, President John F. Kennedy came to the steel mills. So this is a picture of John F. Kennedy coming through there. My father liked John Kennedy. And the mayor at that time was Chikaris, I believe. This is a picture of uh, Delaware Street looking north. And then also on the top is a picture of the area of Buffington Park. So we lived very, very close to Buffington Park, and there was a swimming pool that we'd like to go to from time to time there. This is how it looked about 1990s or so. One of the first visits I had there since we had left in 1963. Some historical photos here. This is a picture of Doris Lazarian and Jesse Slominski with their two children, and they live not too far from us in Gary. I believe this was taken about 1965. This is Jessie Slominski, taken in our home in Gary, and she was my dad's close sister. I don't know if she was doing the dishes or making supper there. This is another picture of John and Wanda Sawa and Eddie Lazarian. And this is Loretta Miziak. This is my dad's older sister, and this was taken about 1960. They lived a couple of miles from us in Gary. I have a couple of pictures of my mother here at different times. My mother, Pearl Eunice Bakken. This picture was taken in the summer of 1940. She is holding her firstborn son, Clifford Jr. My mother married in 1939 and had about an 11-year marriage and 5 children from an earlier life. But you see, my mother is very pretty, and she was quite proud of her firstborn, and she had a very good support system living out on the farm. And this was in the middle of Wisconsin, in a small town just south of Coon Valley. And this is my mother at a later time. This was taken in 1968. And this was with my stepfather, Leland. He lived on a farm also, and that was a small town of Cashton, Wisconsin. In 1980, I was able to get back and took a picture of our old house on Delaware. This is when it was still standing. It was a little dilapidated at this point. It had not been lived in, obviously, for many, many years, but shows the outer area, which looks like there was a swing there and kind of an outer, kind of a deck area out front, in very, very close proximity to the houses on the left and the right. This is a picture of myself in 1977. Graduated from Sparta Senior High School in Sparta, Wisconsin. And another picture of myself in 1977. I went to Washington, D.C. shortly after I graduated from high school and spent several days at the Smithsonian Institute. I'll just go through these here. This is myself when I was 21 years old. At that time, I lived in South Beloit, Illinois. And picture of my brother Gary and I. Gary is right here, and here's Jerry. We looked identical, of course, for many, many years until later years. But we both enjoy playing the game of chess a great deal. He comes to visit quite often. And this is myself in 2008, running in a 10K. Before my knees kind of gave out, I did a lot of long distance running, and I did run one full marathon in 4 hours, 44 minutes. No world record for sure, but it was fun when I did it. I think that was in 2008. My oldest brother, Butch, with my son, Jeff. This was taken in the 90s. This is Sidney Jr., and he lives in Sparta, Wisconsin, the middle of Wisconsin. Another picture of my brother Gary, my twin brother. This was in front of the Denny Hamlin exhibit, and this was at NASCAR show that was going on. We went to several races in NASCAR, and that's one of our hobbies. When we get together, we go to different tracks. This is a wedding picture of Mary and I up on Fontenelle Forest. And like I say, we just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary. We have a lot of animals that come down from the forest from time to time and gallivant over the fences, into the lawn. They try to get into the garden. And our dog lets us know whenever that happens. This is a relatively recent picture. This is 2012, I believe. This is my wife Mary at Christmas time with myself, and then my son Jeffrey from a prior marriage. Jeffrey passed away 3 years ago, at the age of 25. He was a very wonderful young man, and we miss him dearly. And picture here, relatively more recent. This is, I believe, right before COVID. Mary and I were out celebrating some kind of event in the Omaha area. So I'm already over 10 minutes. Just want to thank you for listening and watching. I hope to do more introduction videos, and I hope to visit someday back to the ancestral homeland where I am from. I don't get out of Nebraska that often, but I am due for a visit to Beloit, South Beloit, Illinois, in that area. My brother Terry, because it's been about 15 years, and he is celebrating his 40, I believe his 42nd wedding anniversary coming up in the spring. All right, thank you very much.